Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Hey, welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. This week, we're exploring the hidden intelligence of love. We began with the quiet pull love sometimes gives us before we know why. Then we looked at the pattern beneath the pattern, the way ordinary moments can connect in ways that we only recognize later. Today, I want to talk about recognition. Not the kind where you remember someone's name after staring at them awkwardly for 6 seconds in the grocery store. I mean the deeper kind. The feeling that something or someone belongs to you before you can explain why. A person you've just met feels strangely familiar. A place you've never been seems to welcome you. A conversation opens, and within minutes, you're speaking more honestly than you expected. These things don't happen all the time. If they did, we'd probably stop trusting it. But when it does happen, it can feel like the heart has noticed something before the mind has finished checking the guest list. There are people who arrive in our lives exactly that way. At first, they may seem ordinary. A coworker, a neighbor, someone online, a friend of a friend. But something about them feels easy in a way that surprises us. You don't have to perform quite as much, and you don't have to explain every corner of yourself. They understand the joke. They hear the pause. They make room for your odd little habits, your history, your tenderness, your weirdness. And they don't make you feel strange for carrying any of it. I'm sure we all know people like this. That kind of recognition is a gift. It doesn't mean that the relationship will be perfect either. Familiarity is not magic. Even the people who feel like home can misunderstand us, disappoint us, or need grace from us. But there is something powerful about being known without having to fight so hard for it. I think the soul gets tired of translating itself. We spend so much of life adjusting. We learn how to speak in certain rooms. We learn what parts of ourselves to soften, hide, explain, or defend. We figure out who can handle our full laugh, our full grief, our full honesty. Then, once in a while, someone comes along and the guard drops just a little. Not because we decide to be careless, but because something in us says, this feels safe. That word matters, guys. Safe. Real home is not just a location, it's a quality of presence. Home is where you can breathe. Home is where you are not constantly bracing. Home is where your heart does not have to stand at attention. That can happen with people, and it can happen with places too. Maybe there's a town or a porch, a room or a church, theater, trail, a kitchen or a studio, a certain chair even, by a certain window. And the first time you were there, something in you settled. You may not have known why. You may still not know why. But the place seemed to say, you can put some of the weight down here. I think love speaks that language. It gives us spaces where we can become less defended. Not careless and not naive, just open enough to remember who we are. And maybe that's part of what the heart recognizes when it recognizes home. It recognizes where love has room to move. Sometimes we don't notice how tense we've been until we find ourselves with someone who lets us relax. We don't notice how lonely we felt until one conversation makes us feel accompanied. We don't notice how long we've been holding our breath until a place, a person, or a moment allows us to exhale. That exhale is sacred. It's easy to overlook because it doesn't make much noise. But I think some of the most meaningful love in a life feels like that. An exhale, a soft landing, a chair pulled out at the table, a face that doesn't require armor. When the heart recognizes home, it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a quiet thought. Oh, there you are. Or maybe, I didn't know I needed this. Or even, I think I can be myself here. That can change a person, guys. We should never underestimate what it means to be in a safe place or to be a safe place for someone else. Not a perfect place, no one can be that, but a safe place. A person who listens without immediately correcting. A person who can laugh with you without laughing at you. A person who can hold your story without trying to use it against you later. Or a person who helps your nervous system remember peace. I love those. That is love in one of its gentlest forms. And it may be rarer than it should be. The world often rewards sharpness. It rewards speed, certainty, branding, performance, and the ability to look like you have it all figured out. But the heart is not fooled by performance for very long. The heart is looking for something else. It is looking for warmth. It is looking for truth. It's looking for places where love is not just talked about, but felt. And maybe that is why we recognize certain people before we understand them. Love has a kind of scent to it. Not literally, though I suppose if love smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls, I wouldn't complain. Would you? But there's a quality. You feel it in the way that someone treats the waiter. You hear it in the patience that they give a child, and you notice it in how they speak about people who can't help themselves. The heart pays attention to those things. It recognizes the atmosphere that love creates. And when we encounter that atmosphere, something in us leans closer. That doesn't mean every familiar feeling should be followed without wisdom. We still need discernment. Some things feel familiar because they're healthy. Others feel familiar because they repeat old patterns that we haven't healed yet. And that's worth saying. The heart is wise, but wounds can be loud. So love asks us to listen deeply, not impulsively. A true sense of home does not require us to shrink. It doesn't ask us to betray ourselves, and it doesn't feed on fear, control, or confusion. A true home makes us more whole. It helps us become more honest. It gives us courage to be gentle. And that is how we begin to know the difference. Love's familiarity enlarges us. It doesn't trap us. So today, maybe we can pay attention to the places and people who help us become more ourselves. Who makes you breathe easier? Think about it right now. Who makes you breathe easier? Who helps you feel less alone in your own life? Where do you feel invited back into the best part of yourself? Those are not small questions. They may point toward the threads that are quietly holding you. And maybe they also ask something of us. Because if we know what it feels like to find a safe place, then we can become one. We can make our presence less harsh. We can let people exhale around us. We can stop making everyone prove that they deserve tenderness before we offer it. That doesn't mean that we abandon boundaries either, because boundaries are part of safety too. But within those boundaries, we can choose warmth. We can choose patience. We can choose to be the kind of person whose love feels like a porch light that's been left on. I like that image. A porch light. Not a spotlight. Not a searchlight. Just enough light to say, you're welcome here. Maybe the heart recognizes home because home is where love has learned to keep the light on. And when we find that, we should be very grateful. When we can offer that to others, we should offer it. Because somewhere in this tangled world, someone is tired of translating themselves. Someone is tired of bracing. Someone is looking for a place to breathe. And sometimes the most loving thing that we can become is the presence that lets them finally exhale. I'm Bob Barnett, guys, and this is Infinite Threads. And I love you all very, very much. And you know what I need you to do. Go out there and pass that on, all right? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.
Fears